All yours.
Thank you. First off, I have to apologize. I'm feeling a little sick, so I don't sound like myself. Second, I saw on the app, it said this speech would be in Polish. It will not. I do not speak Polish. I'm not even going to attempt it. But if you were expecting Polish, I think there's translators in the back. So today's talk is really about for the developers in the group. I know there's a lot of agencies here. I know there's a lot of developers here that are either looking or trying to understand whether they want to start a business as an entrepreneur, join another agency. There's a lot of options as a Magento developer. So I've been going around talking to groups like this in the US, talking to developers about what are some of their options. So again, my name is Jerry. Most people just call me Jerry, as Ignacio did. I spent a majority of my career in sales, and I'm finding that a lot of the lessons that I've learned, folks can apply to what they do every day. Especially developers, if you're a little more introverted, if you're learning how to start a business or want to know what really is how possible it is for you to start a business, the lessons that I've learned over the years have really been helpful for developers. One quick break though. Who's Nexcess? I assume most people here have never heard of Nexcess. We are a hosting company. We specialize in Magento optimized hosting. We're about 150 employees just focused on Magento. We've been doing Magento for, it says 18 years, it's 19 years now. We excel in the Magento space, and we work a lot with agencies and so forth. Okay, let's get back to it. So I'm curious, I know it's a little dark back there, but I'm curious to know developers in the crowd? Any developers? All right, I can see you guys. All right. Agency owners. Do you own like 50 employees or less? Yeah, okay. That's typically the type of agency that we work with.
Some emergency happening and I need to give her the
Yeah.
microphone,
Okay, we're going to pause. There's a bit of an emergency right now.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I will switch to Polish. Posłuchajcie, są samochody, które są ustawione wzdłuż drogi dojazdowej do walcowni, tam do parkingu z tyłu. Jeżeli ktokolwiek, kto teraz jakby mnie słucha i słyszy i ma tam zaparkowany samochód, to bardzo proszę o przestawienie go, ponieważ zostały ustawione zarówno po lewej, jak i po prawej stronie drogi, przez co jest w niektórych miejscach nieprzejezdna. I jeżeli w ciągu 30 minut tego nie poprzestawiamy, to będą po prostu samochody odholowane. Także jeżeli ktoś kojarzy, że tam właśnie parkował, to bardzo proszę o przestawienie samochodu.
Can you say in English for the rest of us?
Not sure if there are any English-speaking guests that have cars, but if you have a car parked on the driveway to the parking lot, then you really have to move it away and place someplace else, because if we don't in 30 minutes, then they will have to be removed by authorities. That would be it. Thank you, and sorry once again.
Thank you. I don't see anybody rushing out, so we're good. So I'll get back to it. One of the things that agencies, developers try and understand is like what's marketing, what's development, or what's marketing, what's sales. How do these two things work together? Are you putting all your effort into marketing your business, your brand, yourself, or are you doing sales, running the leads, trying to find folks, trying to bring in new business? Like, what is the difference? Really, they work hand in hand. Sales is essentially going out and bringing those folks in. Marketing is actually identifying the folks that are probably the best fit for your company to pass over to the sales team. So One of the things that we try and press on our partners is that you can market your business really well, but it's a matter of identifying the folks. It's more than just brand exposure, essentially. One of the sales steps that I've appreciated is this analogy. When you're doing sales, it's not overnight success. There's no such thing as an overnight success. Any company that you talk to here, agencies especially, it's been a good 5 years, 10 years before they felt like they could be successful as a company, or profitable as a company in a lot of cases. So sales process really is a long-term game. And it reminds me of this analogy, the Chinese bamboo tree. Has anybody heard of the Chinese bamboo tree? Essentially, the Chinese bamboo tree is a tree that you will plant and water for 5 years, and you will see nothing. And you'll sit there watering a patch of dirt. Imagine telling somebody as a farmer that you are growing a Chinese bamboo tree 2, 3, 4 years into the process, and you're just watering a patch of dirt. But in that 5th year, suddenly the tree grows 80 feet tall, just in 6 weeks. So the sales process, again, I feel like you can equate it to the life cycle of a Chinese bamboo tree. Put in all the work up front, put in the years, and once you establish yourself after years of all the hard work, then you will start to see the fruits of your labor. One of the hardest things to do is really differentiate yourself as a business. I could tell you as a hosting provider in the Magento space, it is very hard to differentiate yourself from all the other hosting companies. Every other hosting company is Magento optimized, performant, and built for security, and all the other things that you may hear. You may hear the same pitch 2, 3, 4, 5 times over. And in the agency space, it's even more drastic. One of the top marketing terms used, or buzzwords used: leader, leading, beat, top, unique, great, solutions, largest, and it goes on. I mean, it's how do you differentiate yourself as a leader in the market when you're starting out as a business, or you want to try and impress on folks that you know what you're doing as a developer that's either looking to start their own business or join a small business. You have to understand that you're always selling. Even as a developer, and maybe you're very into code, you have to understand that you're always going to be selling your business. Don't be afraid to really show folks your expertise, show folks your passion for the work that you do, because this is always going to sell your business much better than having a third party come in or anybody else do it when you're the one who's really passionate about your work. In the sales process, every process that we find follows a specific steps. There's a funnel. No matter how much you try and resist this, you will still follow the same steps in the funnel. Understand that you might be in a certain phase in this sales process. Just because you don't get a yes the first time or second time around with a new prospect, that you might be just certain steps in the phase. So what are those steps? Initial contact, you're going to qualify, present, evaluate, and then you move to closing. Those steps don't change for anybody, experienced or non-experienced. They're all going through the same steps. So how do you work the process? You plan. You plan meticulously. Where are your new leads coming from? How do you find folks? What do you need to do to become successful in your business? How much revenue do you need to generate as a business or as a developer to sustain your business or growth or even your cost of living if you're just starting out? Here's some things. So I presented this at a WordPress conference. They all looked at me like I was crazy for $50,000 builds. So right here, if you're working your leads, say let's say you're doing 200 leads, and you're looking to generate $500,000 in new revenue this year or next year. You work your 200 leads, 5% of those leads will actually equate to something more than initial conversation. And then you move down the pipeline, 100 of those to maybe 10%, all the way down to the last, maybe you won 10 leads that year because you talked to 200 people, or you made 10 new relationships. In the WordPress space, they were pretty shocked to see that folks were getting $50,000 for a build. But in the Magento space, that's on the lower end. A lot of agencies are looking to build Magento fast track services or quick startups on Magento. Minimum package is $50,000. So where do you go find these people? How do you get people to sort of, as a marketer and as a sales guy and as a developer and somebody who's sort of wearing all these hats, how do you get somebody to raise their hand and say, hey, I need your service. You've identified a problem for me, and you could probably solve that. You work your system. There's a series of things that you should consider doing. Maybe a library of sort that you're building, a content strategy that you're doing to help to support your qualifications, your expertise, and so forth. So here's some of the lessons that I share with folks. And what I've noticed that a lot of agencies or developers do that are most successful, a lot of this I got from what folks in the Magento space do, or the most successful folks in the Magento space do. It's all about consistency. If you're not on LinkedIn, Twitter, those are my two favorite social media platforms. Twitter for really understanding what the community is saying, what folks are talking about. Social media for actually making connections with people. LinkedIn is probably the most effective way to connect with somebody today. After this conference, I guarantee I will have a few LinkedIn connections, and then those conversations will go further. It's easier than trying to find somebody's email these days. And then we're going to get into publishing. So right now in the e-commerce space, publishing content is really hot for retailers. Media content strategy, a custom content strategy is something that retailers are looking at. Everybody here understands that e-commerce, or at least I hope that they see the trends are coming together and that custom content and e-commerce are really coming hand in hand these days as the new strategy in e-commerce. So it's for a reason. I mean, it's effective. How many folks are actually doing blogs, writing blogs still? Couple? Okay, a handful of people. Weekly blogs are effective. What else? Attending monthly meetups, going to industry events like this. The content strategy is definitely around building a library of information that you can use or actually have on the internet so that somebody can go back and track, okay, I talked to this person, what are they talking about? What qualifies them as a Magento developer or an expert or thought leader? And if you have this library information where you're blogging once a week for a year, 2 years even, this is definitely playing your favor or supporting your position as an expert in the Magento space. At least once a month, attend a local meetup. I don't know if there are local meetups in Poland, maybe in Warsaw or Poznan or some other cities. There are. And if there aren't, start your own. And it may start out small, but I've seen a lot of folks win over deals because they are the organizer of the Magento event in their local town. I feel like these are things that folks in the Magento space are already doing and already know. But maybe there could be some more activity. Quarterly meetups or Meet Magentos. Meet Magento Poland is amazing. I'm here today from the US because of how large this event is. It's pretty rare to find an event this large in the Meet Magento space. Typically I've seen 200 to 500 max. I would say you guys are right at that max number here in Poland. So if you have a chance to go to other large events like Meet Magento New York is a big one that was just last week. Meet Magento Netherlands is not too far from here. It was always a big one. Or some of the Magento Live events. If you have that opportunity, I would strongly urge you to go, because that's where you're going to make connections, that's where you're going to find your opportunities, and that's where you're going to really gather as many leads as possible through these events. Publish case studies. I think in the Magento space we've learned that all together, that case studies are probably the most effective way for you to position your business. Highlight or showcase a merchant that you've worked on, or even a portfolio. If you're not at the case study, develop a portfolio of projects that you've worked on, no matter how few there might be if you're just starting out. Show that here's the result of a lot of the work that you've already done. And then look out for other events. There's not a lot of e-commerce events that I've found that are targeted for specific industries. There's a big event in Chicago, IRCE. We tried an event in Florida in the US, KBIS, Kitchen and Bath. And not a great success for us, because nobody really expected to talk about hosting and e-commerce and website development, but we took a shot, and that's what I would encourage you to do is maybe try and find specific industry events to go and target, either by yourself or through a partner or whatnot. And then lastly, once a year, attend Magento Live or Imagine. If you haven't been to Imagine, it's an amazing event. It's everybody here. It's like-minded folks in the Magento space, but at a much bigger scale. And the networks and relationships that you build there will last a long time. So let's go through the sales funnel really quick. I talked a little bit about content strategy and events, but if you're looking for a lead and trying to hook them on as a win at some point, what's the process look like? Lead generation is just a numbers game. Understand that now. Look to build relationships with folks, not just look to hunt for leads. And eventually those relationships will turn into great opportunities. But understand that it really is a numbers game. I'm going to flip through some of these pretty quickly because it looks like we're a few minutes left. But you want to be able to qualify a lead. I'll skip this one. And that one. When you're making a connection or looking to qualify a lead, use the rule 24, whether it's through LinkedIn or whatever. When you're contacting somebody, contact them 24 hours after the event or the conference, and then if you don't hear back from them, 24 days. I found that the 24-day mark is when you get a good chance of really catching somebody even after you contacted them that next day. So in this step, I don't have to tell a single developer how to pitch a client. I feel like the developers in this room are really the thought leaders and experts in their subject matter, Magento. You guys know what a merchant needs better than anyone else, and they expect to hear that from you. Don't be afraid to tell a merchant, here's the steps that you could take to improve the functionality of their site or the design or connect third-party systems or whatever it could be. This is where you guys thrive. This is not a sales 101 presentation. It definitely is a place where you guys will succeed. It's just a matter of getting to this stage where you get to pitch and present to merchants. And I'm convinced once you guys get to this stage, the likelihood of success goes up much higher than you would expect. So at some point you get shortlisted. If you are in consideration for a project, then you would definitely get in consideration with maybe one or two other companies, and hopefully you get a decision. If you get a yes, it'll be a verbal agreement. Hey, I'm going to give you a phone call, or it'll be email and say, hey, I like it. How can we proceed? And that's when you move to the written agreement. If you don't have a contract, if you don't have a service of work order, I would encourage you to ask some of the guys that are around here in this room, what do they use, what is their strategy for signing somebody on, and I'm sure they're happy to share. It's a simple legal agreement. RFQs or RFPs, I just included this in here because sometimes we submit for this sort of thing at Nexcess, and I'm sure as agencies, but the quick run is that for if you're filling out an RFP or an RFQ, which is request for quote or request for proposal, you've already surpassed like the first 3 steps. Like you know that they're qualified, it's the right person that you need to talk to, the timing is right, and so forth. And then partnerships. I'm still good on time. I'm on the partnership team at Nexcess, and what I do is connect with agencies. I understand a lot of the pain points that they experience. I've learned a lot of the things that they've sort of learned the hard way. I learned it by hearing from them. They actually experience it by trying to grow their business and develop relationships with folks. But partnerships are going to be key to your success as a business. It's going to be key to finding new opportunities, new leads, new projects. As a hosting provider, we need help. We're not developers. We help to support the developer team, but we also have projects that need assistance, and that's where we call on our top agencies or our partners to take a look at a project and say, hey, I can help you with this. It really is a great partnership. With the right partners, you can develop a really good system where there's a nice steady flow of leads that are coming through. You're not looking for leads at conferences, you're not looking for opportunities, but we're sort of fast tracking the sales funnel and really getting to the presentation phase, and you guys are able to start working. So seek out partnerships through technology partners. A lot of them are back there right now. Some quick sales books that you can consider. One of my favorites is the Challenger Sale, but here are some of the others. The Challenger Sale really is talking about how to challenge your client. Like the most successful salespeople aren't folks that are taking orders, that aren't hard workers, that are working 12, 16-hour days to try and land deals or hunt for them, but it's the folks that are challenging their potential clients or merchants. Question what their status quo, question how they do things, and really create a little tension in the process, healthy tension. And those are the folks that are most successful. So if you can, check it out. Another book really is Speed of Trust. I enjoy this book just because here at what we do as developers, trust is a big factor in winning over a business. And trust is a big factor in the speed in which your team operates internally. So if you have a chance, check this one out as well. Okay, so at this point, if you've been successful, you've worked your process, you've started building a content or a library of content, sort of demonstrating your expertise and qualifications, and you're starting to build a business and gain more hires, when does it make sense to hire a salesperson? That's one of the things that I've noticed most is that agencies that are growing tremendously will hit maybe 50 employees, and it's all developers, and maybe a CEO or a CTO and a couple of C-level folks. But they never actually get to the point where they feel like they're ready to hire a salesperson. It's usually the CEO of the business that's selling to potential merchants. You as a developer, you're now a CEO of a business. You have a team of people. And you're very effective because at this point, you're probably more passionate about your business than any third-party salesperson that you could bring in. But finding a person really is going to help. And how do you do that? You have to understand a few things. Salespeople aren't cheap. If you're going to look for a salesperson, you're going to understand that roughly 15 to 20% of their compensation, 15 to 20% of the revenue they generate is going to be their compensation. And one of the things that we try and build at Nexcess are these full stack salespeople. I'm borrowing a term from you guys, the developers, full stack salespeople, and that they're not designed to just win the lead or win the project over, get it to closed won, but we want to make sure that we're delivering on the promises that we make up front. And an experienced sales representative is going to be able to do that for you. They're going to understand that they have an investment in the growth of the business, but that they also want to see the project off to a good start. Many times there's a clash between sales and technical folks. But if you have a person that recognizes the promises that they're making are going to be an added strain or pressure on the technical folks that are now responsible for delivering is important, and having an appreciation for that is really key. And typically, if you're looking for a sales rep, you'll find it through your partner networks. You'll find it through conferences like this. And typically, you'll want to find somebody that's been in the industry and has some leads, have some projects that they can bring over with them. I've seen folks hire somebody completely from a new industry or separate industry, and it's a bit of a challenge for that person to sort of get up to speed. Not to say it's not impossible, but the challenges are a little more. There's a bit of a learning curve. It may take longer, but with an experienced salesperson, you can expect 6 to 9 months before they start rolling in new leads with you. And that's it. I just include this for fun because I like Captain Kirk, and I feel like no presentation is complete without Captain Kirk. I'll be on the side over here. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much, and I'll be here to answer some questions if you like. Thank you.